So in one of my previous videos, I reviewed the Surface Go and I highly recommended it because of its great keyboard and pen, good performance, great battery life, and a great price. And if you're interested in that full review, I'm gonna leave a link below. Now at a $550 price point, I was pretty shocked with the performance because it is packed with the Intel Pentium Gold processor. Now with an Intel Pentium chip, there's not much you can do with it because it's for productivity but at a low. And this is what the Surface Go was meant for. It's a laptop that you can watch videos, surf the web, do some documents here and there with extreme portability. But I took this laptop to the next level by gaming, and I wanted to do this because in my previous review, I mentioned how Overwatch performed pretty well. And that sparked my curiosity for other PC titles. So the chipset on the Surface Go is a Kaby Lake dual-core processor running at 1.6 GHz and its 7th gen. What they have here is far from what Intel provides with their other processors that they have in the market. Now, it performed really low on the benchmarks, and I mean it's the lowest I've ever seen, but this was not a surprise to me because I didn't expect so much from this chipset. And also, I ran two different benchmarks, one from Geekbench and the other from Cinebench for its GPU. Now, don't let the low scores fool you because it sure did fool me because the Surface Go, it's a fighter, man. It's a fighter. So going on with the titles, the first game I tried was Rocket League, and this game really didn't give me any issues playing online. Getting the turbo boost and jumping around with the vehicles didn't make much of an issue to score with the ball, but then again, scoring wasn't so easy because you really need to be pretty skillful in the game. I capped around 26 frames while I was playing this game, and the CPU was running around 145 to 160 degrees in Fahrenheit. The next title that I tried again and spent the most time with was Overwatch. Now, this is my favorite game on a PC yet, and I love to use Hanzo, which is my favorite character. I had a few lags here and there, even when there was a bit of an overload going on in the gameplay, so it did kind of make it a little hard for me to aim with Hanzo because he uses bow and arrow, so you need to be pretty precise with your shots. But that didn't stop me from playing the game because it wasn't so bad enough for me to say that it always lagged, which it didn't. And I capped around 28 frames and the CPU heated up to around 145 to 160 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about the same as Rocket League. Now, the third game I tried was Doom, a killer title, and this one surprised me the most. Now, Doom is a fast-paced first-person shooter, and there was a lot going on with this game. Now, frame rate was a little slow, so the gameplay was sluggish, but it was not choppy. It was more of a smoother, sluggish feeling, so I was able to kill the enemies without any issues. Now, with the Intel Pentium chip, it took that fast-paced feeling of Doom and killed it down for me because I was capping around 18 frames per second with around 155 to 165 degrees in Fahrenheit. It kind of got annoying playing this game because when you play Doom, you're used to the fast-paced environment. You have this little adrenaline rush going on, and the Surface Go just takes that feeling away, but I was really still impressed because it kept up with the performance. Another thing that irked me was I just kept accidentally hitting the wrong key because it is a small keyboard on the Surface Go. So sometimes I had to look at the keyboard and look at some of the keys before I actually did hit them. Now, I want to talk about the most popular title that's out now, and that's Fortnite. Now, for some reason, Fortnite would start up, but I just couldn't get into a match because it would just freeze and then eventually crash. I'd be able to boot up and start the game, but when I search for a lobby, it just finds a party, but then it just freezes on the loading screen. Sometimes it does start a match, but then within a few seconds later, it would just crash again. So Fortnite on the Surface Go would be a no. Now the last game that I tried was Forza Motorsport 7, and this was the demo. This too did the same thing, it loaded up the game, but I was never able to actually play a match. Now speaking of loading time, the other titles did pretty well with how long it took for the Surface Go to start up these games. Rocket League was around 35 seconds, Overwatch took surprisingly around 23 seconds, the quickest on this list yet. Doom around a minute and 37 seconds. Fortnite 2 minutes and 4 seconds. And Forza a whopping 5 minutes and 46 seconds. And that is way too long. Now obviously I ran these games in almost their lowest settings, and I played around with the options a lot to get the best performance on the Surface Go and on these settings. The graphics really didn't look good and appealing at all, and I'm pretty sure you guys were aware of that. Now running the benchmarks through Cinebench of these games were again very low, but as you guys saw with those type of scores, it was impressive because again, the Surface Go is a machine not meant for gaming. So yes, I was pretty impressed, but it's definitely low on the numbers compared to what other processors can give you. Now to get that extra better performance, I did have to undervolt the PC just a little bit. And basically undervolting is, so your PC has a processor and the processor needs a certain amount of power or voltage to run and perform. And sometimes manufacturers, they put a little more power than they actually should. So we can actually tone it down a little bit, just a little, to play around with the performance, and that's what I did with the Surface Go. Now undervolting on laptops does help with battery life, it does help with performance a little, and I used an application called XTU, and it's by Intel. XTU is a great easy software, and there are more others out there, but this is a little bit simpler. So I toned it down to about -90 volts, and that was the sweet spot. Anything more than that would crash my machine. And after doing this, I did slightly improve my gaming performance, especially with the frame rates, but not a significant amount. But what I did definitely notice was an improvement with battery life. I got about 25 to 30 minutes more time on my Surface Go. Now, undervolting isn't always recommended, so please do this under your discretion. And if you actually do consider it, please do your research before you actually do it. So yes, you can actually game on the Surface Go, but to a limit and to limited titles. And I wouldn't recommend this laptop for gaming because it can become such an eyesore looking at those bad graphics, and bad graphics takes away the fun when playing video games, and you don't want that at all. And another thing is, the small keyboard can get a little crammy. It is a great keyboard for typing, but just not good for gaming. And also it has no USB type A port, so I needed an adapter to connect my mouse to play, and I definitely didn't want to use the trackpad to control my characters in the game. So that's all we have for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, please like, share, and finesse on that subscribe button. And fun fact number 35, Mario from Nintendo is actually in his mid-20s. So thank you for watching, I'm Zashak, stay tech strong, and deuces.